Alrighty, so now we're going to start. Thanks for coming, Munt, and Anil, and Zahira.
You're welcome.
You know what? The idea really behind today was I was chatting to my wife, and we've been doing a lot of leadership discussions and mentorship, and those are still going to run. We're going to run those twice a month, so once a month, Kirsty. So once a month, I do leadership talks with a friend of mine who lives in Israel. She's authored a book on leadership, and she really is got a lot of energy and she's great, and she's very knowledgeable on the subject. When it comes to that subject of leadership, it's a very, very broad subject. So once a month, we explore different topics of leadership. Gary's just joined us.
Yes. Hi, Gary.
He's hiding. And so I was chatting to my wife, and she says, well, I do financial planning as well, so I need to focus on that as well. And so that is kind of how correlation coaching was born. I needed to understand the correlation between people and how they react to their money, how they do financial planning, and the conversations that one has when it comes to money conversations and money decisions are very different for some reason to normal decisions. However, they follow the same process in your mind. So when it comes to making a normal decision, you weigh up the odds and you make a decision and you go for it. But when it comes to money decisions, we seem to get confused along the way. I'll give you a little example. I did a thing with Zahira in the office yesterday. If we were going to, so you can answer this question. If I was going to flip a coin, and on heads, you give me 10 Rand. And on tails, I'll give you 11 Rand. Is that a worthwhile bet? So
Depends how many times you're willing to flip
just
the
one
coin.
flip. One flip.
50% odds, not bad.
Yeah, but most people won't take it because it's one flip, and you're weighing up the negative side. So you're weighing up the 10 Rand loss versus your 1 Rand gain in that flip. And that doesn't make sense. But as soon as you start doubling that amount of money to say, all right, well, I'm going to give you 21 Rand if you win versus 10 Rand if I win. It's a lot easier to take that bet because you're perceiving the gain a lot more. You're focusing on the gain. You're focusing on the 11 Rand gain versus the 10 Rand loss. But your loss is still exactly the same and your odds are exactly the same. However, your focus has shifted from losing money to gaining money, and therefore more people are willing to take that bet. So when it comes to money decisions, we do silly things like that. We don't make rational choices. And I just wanted to read a little bit. I was reading a book by his name is Carl Richards. He's written a book called The Behavior Gap. And in that he said, well, if financial planning is so simple, how do we actually make decisions? And decisions that we make should be in line with our reality, our goals, and our true values. So if that's how decisions should be made, why don't we do it? And then he speaks about a couple of things that we need to focus on when making the decisions. Number one is to stop chasing fantasies. What he means by that is when it comes to financial planning and investing money, people generally want the world. They want to outperform everybody else. And when you are at a braai, everybody does have better solutions than everybody else. Well, why didn't you invest in this? Why didn't you invest in Bitcoin? It way outperforms. It's giving a 30% return. And you know that's unrealistic. So we will never really beat the market, provided you get returns that are in line with the market and slightly above. You know that you're doing pretty well. When it comes to risk planning, being life insurance and things like that, you can only protect yourself to a point. You can protect yourself to a point where you can say, all right, well, I'm comfortable that the additional risks are taken care of. You can't protect yourself for every single eventuality because you will then go insane. As well as the fact that the world is uncertain. So you don't know what is going to take place, what isn't going to take place. So you've got specific, you can only protect yourself to a point. And when it comes to that, and understanding the fact that things are uncertain, as soon as you embrace uncertainty and accept the fact that there is a higher power running this world that you don't have control of, then makes your financial planning a lot easier as well. Because as soon as you say, I'm going to have a financial plan and it's going to work exactly like this, when things fall out of that norm, it causes additional stress. So you want to keep yourself away from stress as much as possible. The other point that he makes is understand exactly what you want. And this is, for me, is where when I had a meeting with Kirsty's partner, Jonathan, I was actually blown away. And hence, I chatted to her and we're going to get this series of financial planning talking going, because making decisions around what you want seems to be quite easy. However, when your house is in a mess, it's very difficult to make decisions around what you want because you can't see where it is that you want to go. So as soon as you have a clearer understanding and a clearer picture of what your life actually looks like, well, then you can see where it is that you want to go. And then the coaching side to making decisions around what you really want fits in quite nicely there as well, because I had a coaching session yesterday where the guy was saying, well, he has his difficulty around diary management and running up and down and trying to do everything. By the end of the discussion, it was the fact that he's not phoning one or two clients that he needs to get back to because he's scared. So once you start digging and understanding what it is that you truly want to achieve, your picture becomes more important and you own it. And again, that's where it ties back to your values to say, well, this is what I really want. That's where the coaching side to the financial planning comes in. Believe it or not, there's also a nice element of luck. We are blessed to have good things in our lives, and it's to appreciate and accept those things. Not everything is going to be negative and not everything is going to be terrible. So when good things do happen and you are blessed with a fortune, let's say you go and Zahira decides to go gambling because she's not allowed to and wins 200 million. It's a level of luck. You're allowed to accept it. You're allowed to say, well, fine, there is a level of luck in what I do. Or you're at home and you get a phone call and Apple offers you the CEO position just because they liked your LinkedIn profile. And there's a level of luck to what it is. And then at the end of the day, if we don't trust ourselves and we don't trust our own decision-making process, well, then things aren't going to work. You need to trust who you are. You need to trust yourself and trust what it is that you want. And that way, your financial planning does start come together a lot easier, as well as when it comes to making your money decisions. It's easier to get thrown off track and pull yourself back on because you know where you are and you know where it is that you want to go. So hence correlating you and your money was born. And hopefully over the next however long, doesn't really matter. I've got lots of nice speakers that are willing to come and talk to us around estates, around wills, around financial planning, around different retirement funds, normal investments, and what are they called? Out of the norm investments. There's a lot of people that we have access to, and we're going to try and clarify financial planning decisions once a month, as well as leadership decisions once a month. So that's a lot of my story. So what happened was I came across Jonathan Brummer, who works with Kirsty, and he said he wanted to show me what they're doing. And I was blown away by that. And I thought, well, that is the best starting place to understand, well, what does your house look like? How does it work? And how do you manage your financial position going forward? So Kirsty agreed to take part in 200 of these talks with me. So yeah, I've just promised her a bigger crowd, but we'll get there. All right, so I'm going to unmute can't hear anybody. Let me just unmute everyone. What were you saying, Wood?
Said I can get lots of people my age for Kirsty.
Anyway, so I don't know.
Calculating.
So I just I wanted to show you what the thinking is. Introduce Kirsty, let her introduce her company and the partnership that we're hopefully going to develop. So up to you.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, I'm going to just share my screen, yeah? Okay, let's give it a second.
No,
All
it's
right,
up.
can everyone see my screen? Is it up? Okay.
Up, yeah.
All right. So, I mean, Jason, the talk's called Correlating You and Your Money. And maybe just to start off with, my name's Kirsty, as Jason mentioned. And we started a company called Work That Matters. This is the four of us. Now you have a better idea of what we look like by these bitmojis. But it's Benny Host, Gary Windsor, Jonathan Brummer, and myself. And we've worked together for probably 15 years in total. We previously worked at an investment company called Access, where we met Des and Jason. And thereafter, we worked at Old Mutual Wealth together. We're all extremely passionate about financial planning and about enabling better client engagement between planners and clients, and ultimately better outcomes for clients. So our why, or our motto, is that we want to do work that matters for people who care. So it's really about meaning for us. We want to get up every day and know that we're doing something that we love, that we're passionate about, but also that makes a positive impact on financial planning and on clients out there. Our philosophy, or what we stand for, is connecting the heart, head, and hand. So if you think of financial planning, we're very good as financial planners with dealing with the head and the hand. So we're very good at working through, the calculations and understanding all the different products that are out there and which is going to suit you best. And, as planners, we focus there quite a bit. But to really shift financial planning, we know that to get great outcomes for clients, we have to connect with their heart. We have to bring the three together. Yes, the head and the hand is important. We need to be able to understand the financials, the calculations. We need to be able to implement appropriately. But most importantly, we need to understand who this person is and what they want to achieve. And until we can connect all three, that's what's really going to create better outcomes for clients. So that's what we stand for.
Do you mind if I take a snapshot of some of these slides?
Of course. Sure.
I'll send you the presentation once I've got it.
Okay.
Well,
sorry, Kirsty.
No, that's great. So I'd love you to have it. So if you think of the name of this talk, it's Correlating You and Your Money. And Jason asked me to spend some time talking about what is the starting point in a financial planning journey. And we always talk about financial planning simply is, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And how do we get you there? So the starting point then is, where are you now? And, usually we look at where am I and we think of my finances. But in reality, you're not an individual, by yourself. It's you and your spouse, usually, if you are married, and probably your children, So the question is, who are the people that are connected to you, that you have a dependency with? And that dependency doesn't necessarily mean financially. It could be an emotional dependent, but we really need to start unpacking who is in your life, who are the important people in your life as the client, and therefore what the financial decisions that you make are going to impact these people. So how do we bring them all together? And generally, people think of my household as myself, my spouse, my children, but we need to think broader than that. For a lot of us, our parents should be included in that. That we may have financial relationship with, financial dependencies, or just general dependencies. There could be businesses that you have. You could have business partners that you have a relationship with. You could have trust. There could be many other people in this picture. So step one is understanding you, and you being everyone in your household. Who are all the people that are connected? Let's get a picture of who that is and why those people are important and in your life, and let's understand that picture. So please stop me if you have any questions along the way, but that's step one. Step two, I like to call it getting organized, and I think, Jason, you alluded to this a bit in the beginning as well. Have any of you heard of Marie Kondo?
No.
No.
No. Yeah. That's
She
what.
was these woman.
Sorry?
She was the she was walking around tidying up her rooms or whatever.
Exactly. She's got a show on Netflix called Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. If you haven't watched it, I urge you to watch it. It's a great show, but she brings sort of Japanese culture and spirituality into getting your house in order to give you a better life. And she's got some great, unique methods of doing that. But one of the things that she does is she says, if you want to really clean out your closets, so if you want to sort out your clothes, you cannot start by going shelf by shelf. The first step is you have to walk around your house, go in every cupboard that you have, and take out every item of clothing that you have and put it all in one place. So put it all on your bed. And the reason for that is when you see that mountain of clothes that you have, you can start to appreciate, well, maybe I don't need all of this. Maybe I have too much. But also you can start to see that you may have gaps in certain areas. I don't have, this type of pair of jeans that I like. So it helps you identify gaps. But then she has quite a unique method of sorting out whether you keep something or not. And I'm going to show this quick clip. For those of you who haven't seen it.
Keeping this principle in mind is paramount to following the KonMari method.
When you touch the item that sparks joy for you,
Okay.
you feel cute.
Okay.
Cute.
Okay.
So basically what she does is she says, you've got to touch every item of clothing that you have and ask yourself, does this spark joy for me? Do I feel a reaction to it? If I don't, then I must thank that piece of clothing for the part it played in my life, for what it provided me, and for the memories I had wearing that, and then I can discard it. But unless something sparks joy, you don't keep it. And you go through each item of clothing in that way. And I think it's quite special. It's really special to watch, to think of things like that. But it's a great way of sorting through it. And I thought this is a good analogy for step one of financial planning, because to really sort through it and get organized, we have to do the same thing. We have to understand who are all the people, but then we have to go around to all of those people and collect all the clothing or all the financial instruments that they have and put it in one place. Because until we can see that entire picture, we can't really understand, is there gaps? Do we have too much of something? And I'm sure looking at an aura isn't exactly the same thing as does it spark joy, but perhaps the question is, what is the purpose for this? Does it have a purpose? Is it going to be able to fulfill the goal that I had in mind for this financial instrument? And that's what we do with Asset Map. It starts by saying, who are all the people in your life? And in this case, we've got a husband and wife, 2 children, business partner, a company, a trust. But the point is, everybody goes on the page. And everything, all assets, insurance, incomes, expenses, properties, go on one page. That is the starting point of financial plan, because now as a client, you can see everything. And together with your planner, you can go through all of that and understand, should I be moving these together? Do I need to have 4 unit trusts, for example, or should I be having 1? Do they have an individual purpose? What was my purpose for taking out this investment? Is it going to achieve that purpose? Is there a gap somewhere in this plan? So for me, step 1 of any financial plan is know who is the client, and it's not the individual, it's their entire household. So you need to understand who are all the people. Step 2 is what is everything. Put it all on one page and let's go through it one by one and decide does it bring joy, or does it meet the purpose that it has? And if you haven't got an asset map, ask your planner for yours.
Cool.
Okay.
Sorry?
Have you got this asset map?
I do. I'm happy to share it with you, Munt.
Oh, you know where I'm going with it.
Yeah, but not on this talk. Thank you.
Just
No.
have it.
Yeah. So, Anil, really for you, the idea is to start at the beginning. We are going to have a number of talks through the coming months around. So if you have a look here, we've got different retirement annuities, pension funds, preservation funds, unit trust, business interests. How do you understand each one of those things? How do they fall part of your estate planning? How do you make sure that you're most tax efficient? Is it worthwhile setting up trusts? How do you put money offshore? There's a whole lot of discussions around this little asset map. Not so much as, if you want to go through it, I'm more than happy to send you a link. You can put your stuff in there. I'll talk you through your map with pleasure. But what Kirsty and I are having a chat around is actually, how do you now educate people around this going forward? We've got speakers, like I said, Harry Joffe from Discovery, who wants to come and chat around the legal issues, retirement planning, estate planning, wills, trusts. And for me, the biggest part of financial planning and why I got into the life coaching space is because of goal setting. Once you understand this picture, you can then apply each thing to specific goals and manage them in such a way that even if things do change in your life, you can still come back on track. And I don't know if it was Jonathan or whoever it was that said that you're getting a compass to get from to point A and B. And along the way, you can get lost, but that compass will always take you back to where you should go. But you may not necessarily stay on the same road all the time. You might need to be diverted across the road that you're on, and in order to come back, but you will get back to the same point. What is quite nice around this is if Kirsty once, and I don't know if you guys have had a look, Ian put up a poem, one of the blogs called Ithaca. And I know that I had a laugh about it with my father, but Ithaca is really around enjoying your journey. It's a poem around how do you enjoy your journey. You're starting over here, you want to drive to Cape Town. Cape Town is the destination. But unless you actually, here being Joburg, sorry, Kirsty's in Cape Town. Unless you enjoy the journey and you accept the perils that come your way and you accept the good and the bad, you're going to get to Cape Town and be disappointed because you've flown from one place to the next. So it's all around enjoying your journey along the way. And when it comes to financial planning, that's my hope, is how do I get my clients to actually enjoy their lives? Too many times now I'm talking to people, they are, to put it bluntly, shit scared around what's going on in the country. They are nervous around what's happening with their money. What are the decisions we should be making? How do I actually live the life that I want? So that is my big dream, is to get people to enjoy themselves and have more fun at the end of the day, because you're only getting one shot and we worry too much around every little bits and pieces that impact our lives. So that was a nice, short, sweet talk, and thank you, Kirsty. And have you guys, any of you got questions?
I got a bit of a comment, Kirsty. Thanks. That's I guess a very interesting way of looking at your portfolio. You know, the sort of classical baby boomers, we stuff things into tables and try and make sense of tables. But I really like, that's sort of a picture. I'm sort of very visual. I really think that picture is impactful. I probably want to sit down and try and understand my circumstances based on what I've seen.
I think that's great, and I agree with you. I think we all all like that, where a picture just makes you feel a little bit more comfort seeing it all in one picture, because now you can make sense of it. So I think that's definitely been our experience with clients and planners using it, is that clients do enjoy seeing a picture, but also it creates a level of peace and comfort that now, okay, I know where everything is, just as a starting point.
I guess once you've done your picture, the first thing you look at the picture, and it kind of probably knocks you off your feet. You sort of realize your vulnerabilities, but I guess it's a good start. It's better to know this than
depends on how the water level is.
You know what, I must tell you, Neil, what I've seen from this picture versus traditional financial planning methods is you don't get that feeling. Because when it comes to, let's say, like retirement planning for younger guys, and they say, all right, I want to retire at 65, and you look at a traditional financial calculator, you're going to get ridiculous numbers. You need to be putting 100 million a month away, and there's a big red line there to say this is a big error. With this picture, it looks like that, and it's not going to give you that shock. Which I think is quite a big thing, because when you do get that shock, people freeze. They don't move forward. So that's what I quite liked about it. But yes, I'll send you a link. Do your picture, and I'll go through it with you, and then you can let me know if you're shocked or not.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Jason.
Gary, I know Gary has also been using Asset Map with clients. Are you there, Gary?
His mic is on, but he's not around.
Okay.
Perhaps one question, Kirsty. I have a son who's still at university and kind of starting out next year, and is kind of a working life. To what extent would you be able to use the map, for instance, to plan for potential retirement? I guess I'm beginning to answer my own question now that I think about it, but I think it would be very useful, at least for somebody who starts out, to be able to have a picture with which to aim for, I suppose.
Yes. So there is that in the map. You can draw a map of where you are, but you can also do a map of, what do I want my picture to look like? And then you're working towards that. But there's also a part of it that shows for each goal how on track you are to achieving it. I just showed today where you are today. But as Jason would take you through that process, it would be, well, if that's where you are today, where do you want to be? And how do we put things in place to keep you on track to getting there? So that would be the next part of the process. And there's some things in there that help with that. But that's exactly the next step in the financial planning process. What is that desired outcome? And how do we work towards it? But I think if your son is just about to leave university, it's the best time. If he starts now, I mean, it's just amazing to see the difference that happens if you start young. So I think it's great that you're thinking about that for him.
Excellent.
And again, for me, that's also where the coaching conversation is an important one, Anil, because when you're coming out of varsity, although you've done your degrees and you've done your things, it's just gets clarity. It creates clarity really around where it is that you truly want to go. Generally, you come out of varsity and guys do go from job to job to job, not 100% sure of what it is that they want, where they want to go, and you get a lot of pressure. It creates a lot of pressure because you've now done these degrees, and you should be going down this path, but it's not really a path that you want to be on. So there's two sides to it. I mean, the financial planning and number side, as well as actually making the decisions around that, which are quite important.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Right.
I am busy with a project which, as you say, please God, gets off the ground. It's to change our whole system in the insurance industry. And there is a group of insurers that are busy looking at what I'm doing. I think that if either you or Jason possibly join me in meeting with these guys and talking to them, how would your structure work on a mass market system. Does that ring for you? Would you consider taking this, your diagram, to a broader market, to let people who are financial planners, if it was on a telephone link, whatever it is, how would they be able to improve their lives by using your system, whether it is on a mass market structure?
I mean, we can chat about that. This is a US-based system that we've brought in South Africa.
Sorry,
it is a US-based system that we've brought into South Africa, and planners pay per subscription. But yes, I think the usage of it could be for any planner.
What I'm happy to do is I'll sit with you as well and go through how it works. I'm seeing a lot. It's much easier to reach the mass market with what Kirsty and Gary and what the guys have brought, the asset map, simply because you send out a link and you can do the planning on your phone. Once that plan is done, Zahira and I get notified that it's done, and there's a report, and we can chat you through that report. So when it comes to the mass market, it's a matter of either asking them to go onto a website. I've embedded this in my website. Ask clients to go onto the website, click on the link, fill in your own. You get your own login and stuff once it becomes yours. So I don't know how, if you put your details in, it becomes yours. But it's not a one size fits all. So it is each individual.
Okay, so what I'm now saying is that.
Can I just sorry, I just want to end the recording. Do any of you have an objection for if I upload to the website?
Yep. No.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. I'm just ending the recording.